This Can't Go On by Gaijin Goombah.
Hey everyone, Gaijin Goombah here. Two things really quick. One, I wanted this video to not be scripted because I wanted to be really honest about my emotions and heart and opinion and just everything that I wanted to address in this video, but every time I did, things got really heated, I tripped over my words, things got hyperbolic, and I just want to be more organized than that. And second of all, I do apologize for how minimalistic these visuals are going to appear. I hope the big important thing is what I'm saying, not necessarily what you're seeing. I just need to get this out there because I've been holding a lot of stuff in for way too long. So I'll just cut to the chase here.
Look, when Subway Surfers, Family Guy, and AI narration is an actual YouTube metagame, this is fantastic. You're doing great. Like, I mean, B-roll footage exists for a reason. Just slap the B-roll on what you want to say. It keeps that, like, section of your brain involved. It's literally why Subway Surfers works. It's literally why that metagame works. I think it's great. This is already more high quality than, like, rant bits I've heard out there. The number of videos I've seen that will hop on hating on certain large YouTubers, right? And it's like, it's just really badly edited V-roll, and the thoughts aren't coherent, right? So far, this is already better than all of those combined. I'd say you're doing a great job.
Everyone to know that I am neither quitting, nor do I intend on slowing down. I know that you might have gotten that vibe because this is all coming right off the heels of MatPat announcing his goodbyes as the host of all the different Theorist channels.
Whoa, didn't he did this, right? He did this. Didn't he also, like, come back for a new Five Nights at Freddy's video? And the joke was that not even MatPat can escape the Five Nights universe.
But I'm personally not done. But there's been something wrong for a couple of years now, and I've been trying to figure out what it is. And I don't think it's burnout, because I keep finding new idea after new idea to talk about in terms of culture analysis, and I still very much love doing it. And on the other side of things, despite having seen an insane level of viewer drop over the last 6 some odd years since I left the Theorist, I've developed a way better work-life balance. I know that Matt said one of the reasons he's stepping down is because of time. And here's the thing, I've sacrificed a great deal of success, views, money, like whatever the stupid hustle grind set says is important, I've sacrificed all that for the sake of time.
Yeah.
Like, Matt taught me how to succeed. Like, he taught me the best ways I could build up my brand, my viewership, like everything. You all know that man is a genius when it comes to the algorithm. But
I am not. I just pick a random thing to react to. So, and obviously there's other content that I want to do. Like, I've talked about doing the potential of Warhammer streams or just organizing, say, Yu-Gi-Oh! Binders and stuff like that. There's a lot of collection I have to go through. I mean, like, a part of it's the editing, getting over that artist block of editing, especially because editing does take time. I'm also not a good editor, so that takes even more time. But even then, like, if I were to edit, say, a video on Helldivers 2, and it takes me 3 months, right, you do run the risk of being obsolete. If I were to edit an entire piece, which I would love to, on Final Fantasy XIV, and how, in my opinion, it changed my life in a lot of ways, especially how Xenos as a character, I strongly align with. I get him to a degree. Like, Final Fantasy XIV habitually just doesn't have viewership. Absolutely. There's streamers like Lucy Pyre. Absolutely. There's streamers like Pint who play Final Fantasy XIV. Asmongold, whenever he plays Final Fantasy XIV, gets viewership. There's a couple other people, like Fashionista, I know gets a decent amount of views. Mr. Happy, right? Pretty big raider in Final Fantasy XIV. But if I were to edit an entire piece on Final Fantasy XIV, there's no guarantee that it'll ever see success. And that being said, do you want guaranteed success chasing the algorithm, or do you want to actually be artistic and do something that you want to with your time? And I think there's a cost benefit analysis to be had there, but sometimes you have to just say, F the cost benefit analysis. I want to do this. I hear he plays orcs. What a cool dude. Fantastic, even. And I've heard of Gaijin Goombah for a number of years, such as like Chugga Conroy, Completionist, Peanut Butter Gamer, like Normal Boots Group. Like, I've heard of him throughout the years, but I've never really sat down to watch Gaijin Goombah, if that makes sense. Nothing against him, obviously. It's just like, I didn't ever watch the Russian Badger or Soviet Womble before reacting to them, because most of my job at this point is sitting on YouTube talking about things. These Gokai watch videos are great. And I'm curious to see what he brings to the table on those. I yap on the internet. That's kind of what I do. Even minimalistic edits like this are by and far more effort than I'm currently putting into it. I can talk, I can yap, right? I'm not able to put together a coherent piece that's able to attract an audience.
The sacrifice of time involved with that is just completely and utterly staggering.
Yeah.
And I knew it just was a lifestyle I didn't want, and hell, even if I did want it, I couldn't do it. I'm just not that kind of person. And I do want to clarify that I got nothing against Matt. This video has nothing to do with my relationship with Matt. In fact, I think we're going to go hang out and do something sometime, and it'd be good to catch up. So, no, this isn't burnout. I just really think that I'm going through a period of pure and just unadulterated raw stagnation. Like, I've been talking about culture and history with a large emphasis in Japan and games and animes and movies and all popular kinds of media, but I've been doing it for 11 years. Like, 11 years. And I feel like it's all I've ever done. And that's the problem. Like, I still love Japan. I still want to one day make it my home. God, I wish I could just be there. Like, I've got so many things that I want to say and analyze about it, but God help me if I don't feel like I've been doing the same thing for way too long. Like, I don't need to scale back more and recover from burnout. I feel like I need to do more. Like, a lot of my friends and old colleagues have moved on to other things. Like, Drake's moved on to Comic Drake, where he just talks about comics, and it's been absolutely stellar for him, and I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him. Apparently, Lee is going to be the new film theory host, which is freaking crazy to see, but it checks out. That man's got a beautiful voice. Ryder, aka Foot of a Ferret, has been doing a lot with cartoon shows, and that doesn't necessarily apply to me because I'm too old for those shows. But I'm glad he's succeeding. And then I know that Austin is remaking Shoddycast just like something different, something new, something great.
Wow, I haven't heard of Shoddycast in a hot minute. Wow, that's interesting. He's still going. That's fantastic.
And I mean, MatPat made 4 different channels of 4 very different things. So with all my friends and colleagues doing a whole bunch of just different stuff, I've been sitting here thinking to myself, like, why haven't I done anything different? Why haven't I changed? It's like, I've done different shows like Witch Ninja, Witch Samurai, Yokai Hunters, things like that, but it's all just the same thing. It's just contextualized a little bit different. So this is just something that's been eating at my freaking soul for the last 2 years. And I want to make a change too. I want to dabble in things that I have equal passion in. So yeah, I'm starting up another channel. Now, you might be asking, Gaijin, didn't you already make a second channel and you haven't uploaded to it in over a year? And you would be correct. But here's the thing. I wanted that channel to be a dedicated place for me to talk about life in Japan, living in Japan, news related to Japan, and so on, but I ran into a couple of problems. The first one is that YouTube will not allow new channels to upload in HD until either a viewership quota is reached for that video, or the channel has been around and uploading for a very, very long time. And in those videos, I use a very expensive camera to narrate into, and I just wanted my videos to be as crisp as I possibly could. But when I'm forced to debut in 420p until I reach a multi-thousand view threshold, yeah, that was grinding my gears a lot as a creator who wanted to put his best foot forward.
So I feel like the way to potentially circumvent that, and absolutely, I could be wrong, and I'm open to correction here, would be possibly to utilize the short system, right? Get a certain threshold with shorts, have your channel introduction trailer, maybe have a few pieces of like teaser information, right? Or just some random one-offs and stuff, right? Obviously, as somebody who doesn't upload to other channels I have, yes, I do have other channels. I have Professor Kip. I do have Tactikip. Tactikip is where just firearms content goes at this point because it's kind of a headache. It's better to have, for me, a centralized location for firearms content, especially how volatile the policies can be on YouTube. Professor Kip's for Pokemon, Kip YGO's for Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, but you'll notice a significant lack of uploads on there, and that's because I just haven't, because I'm a perfectionist by nature. That's not an excuse. That is, in fact, a detriment to me. And I want to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward, and this is how my channel will identify. So thus you're at odds where YouTube wants specific things to have specific channels, right? Whereas if I made a series of archetype breakdown videos for Yu-Gi-Oh, right, and that's on one channel, if I were to instead integrate a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh archetype videos that I myself make on Kip Reacts, would it necessarily do the same? I think it would actually hamper it, and it would hamper the channel as well. So there are things to consider with that. I also react to a variety of content as is, and that's probably why the algorithm gets so screwy around me, because one day I'll react to something serious, another I'll react to something genuine by a creator like this, another day I'll react to something incredibly silly, and I generally think it throws the algorithm for a loop. So you're stuck in a little bit of a paradox if you go in and you're wanting to put your best foot forward, and you can only upload to a specific, like, specific threshold, like 480p, until you prove yourself. So that leads into the logic of you could hypothetically make the original video go live, have an edit at the end saying, hey, this will be deleted at a later redacted at a later date, and the HD version uploaded. That way you can get the initial viewership in. Then you could probably go back and just upload the HD version, or even do a remaster of it. I think there's a number of, I don't know if there's necessarily right or wrong ways to do about it. There's a few ways you could go about it. And obviously I think that's going to be subjective to each person and what their goals are with channels, right? Far from an authority, right? Gaijin Goombah is far and above viewer count, sub count, etc., right? I have a dingus perspective, but that's about it.
And the other problem? Well, honestly, I just didn't feel right doing it. Like, Gaijin Perspective is a channel I inevitably want to be my, quote, things I'm experiencing or have experienced in Japan channel. And the truth of the matter is that I haven't been able to go back for a long period of time well, a long period of time. So I felt like I just wasn't a really strong authority to talk about what's been going on in recent news and things like that. And honestly, I thought to myself, why would anyone want to watch a third-party source take on something that happened when there's literally hundreds and hundreds of other creators in Japan who can cover it far better than I could? Like, I understand people could be interested in my perspective on things that happened, but the best I could do is talk about it in relation to the experiences that I had in Japan, not the ones that I want to have. Inevitably, the channel turned into mediocre to hot takes on my past experiences in Japan, or more personal takes on a piece of media. And I felt like that could fit very much on my main channel more than anywhere else.
So thus you start getting into the paradox of you have two channels, you upload to both channels, but if the content's damn near the same, why do you have the second channel? Like, I love, what is it, Kira TV. I love him. I love his takes on some of the, like, crypto land, a bunch of the crypto projects and stuff, but I don't personally know the difference between Kira and Kira TV. Like, I think they've kind of been a little more separated as of now, I think is the keyword. Love the dude, right? Nothing against the dude. But that you start running into, but if all these channels are the same, or if channels are too similar, why does the second channel exist? If I were to do reactions like this on, say, the main channel, right? Kizuna Kip, right? The quote-unquote main channel, why are you just not watching on Kip Reacts? Why am I uploading it there? Versus Tactikip, you know for a fact, if it's firearms related, it's going on Tactikip. That's how I've just set that up. But even then, you could argue that that's still throwing people off because I still have things on the main on this channel, Kip Reacts, that deal with firearms, and then I go over there and making sure that I communicate why that split happened has been a challenge, and also getting people funnel over there, which is entirely fair, right? There's just some realities and truth with YouTube, and YouTube also likes channels having their boxes. This is what this channel does, and if it's not what people want to watch. If, say, for example, I'm sure if he goes into 40K, it's probably going to perform less.
I mean, both the Blue Eye Samurai and Godzilla -1 culture analysis videos are prime examples of really more personal takes on what I would have put on the Gaijin Perspective channel.
Sure.
But then I ask myself, why would I put it on a channel with a fraction of the viewer size as well as upload quality limitations?
Yeah.
It's, quote, on brand enough that it fits very snugly right here on the main channel.
Sure.
And as far as I can tell, the metrics are proving it. No, I need to do something completely different. Like, I still want to make videos, but on something completely unrelated that I really, really love. And that, folks, is 40K. And not just orcs, too, though that is the one thing in the setting that I've been nerding out with all my positive energy, but the whole universe, the fandom, everything about it I'm just really falling in love with, like, head over heels for the last 2 years. You got big, stompy, shooty robots of the Imperial Knights and the Tau alongside the big, rolly tanks of the Astra Militarum, and it's like, you know me, I've always loved big, giant robots, and the Tau are basically East Asia in its entirety.
You're right, Tau aren't weebs, that's the Eldari. God, I love, you could take a Wraith Knight, put a fedora on it, dual wielding katanas, and it would be right at home. Have I mentioned that I love Eldari? I just built my Wraith Knight yesterday. I spent like an entire work shift from like 6 a.m. to like 2 p.m. yesterday. I built, what was it? I built a, what was it? What, like the Sidewinder, one of the tanks. I built the Hemlock Wraith Fighter. I built Avatar of Cain, and I built a Wraith Knight all in that span of time. Yeah, I kind of needed to Kind of needed to take a nap after that. That was it was a while that I was sitting there. But God, I love the Wraith Knight.
And my love of tanks has been one of the oldest memes in my entire career. And I've got so many ideas about videos involving them. But the cockles of my heart beat deepest for the orcs, and that's why I want to introduce you to my new channel, GimGam Glitzdakka. I really wanted to go with just GimGam, but there's like a dozen channels with that name, and I had no idea that they existed, and I don't want to be called out as some kind of copycat, so... Yeah.
It's why I couldn't go with Pokekip for Pokemon, because Pokekip actually existed, and it's someone who has like a decent amount of subscribers, I think. And has a Mudkip, which makes sense, right? Pokemon Mudkip, right? It's just put together. But then again, as I said, I used to be a professor and want to be a professor again. I want to take my professorship test. I want to actually go to Pokemon events. Idaho hasn't really been a place where Pokemon has kind of succeeded, right? Like, I would still be playing Pokemon Go. I would still be playing VGC, but the avenues to do so have never been strong in Idaho. I remember back in the day, 2005-ish, reading on Cerebi.net, the whole Birth Island Naval Rock events that you had to go and get injected to your save cart via Pokemon Center. So, like, it's cool. I've always had an interest in it. I've even been a professor and still actively play Pokemon, but I just don't have the avenues for it, which I'm sure will come in time once I actually sit down and actually bang out some Pokemon content over on Professor Kip.
Yeah, Glitzdakka being the name of my OC war boss, and GimGam being the nickname given to me by Takahata 101, the man who introduced me to the sci-fi world through the old unexpected days of The Crew, where I played as Kotag the Pain Boy. And ever since, my heart had really been turning a little more green each year up until now, and I'm now just utterly surrounded by 40k green skin models supported by all of you in my streams. So, at this point you might be asking, why orcs, Gaijin? Well, either you didn't watch that video that I explained how orcs save my mental health, but I admit there's actually more to it than that. Like, YouTube, heck, the entire internet is a different place now.
Yes.
It's a lot different than when I started making content, and it's a lot different than even it was a few years ago. You guys don't ever see it, but recently, a lot of the videos that I made have always come with constraints. Always come with constraints. There's the constraint of relevance, i.e. if you don't talk about whatever is trending at the time, the algorithm will spit you out and crush your future searchability.
Dude, I hate it, right? Do you know, I could probably get a lot of traffic if I were to talk about Mr. Beast or Logan Paul or whatever. I don't care enough to do so. Like, I don't want to. There's nothing constructive I can add to the situation. If it comes up, it comes up. I give my 2 cents and then I move on. Like, absolutely. And you can even see that in, like, when I played Space Marine 2, because I got Space Marine 2 as part of a Dare Drop, right? And I played it and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, I got, I think, up to almost like 80 or 90 viewers on Twitch. You can actively see if a game came out tomorrow, like Stalker, right? Stalker 2, which I didn't play during the peak of it, you will just fall off. You will plateau because public interest goes down. I hate that. I can't, my brain doesn't work that way. If I want to play something like Resident Evil 5 for the 200th time, I'm going to play Resident Evil 5 for the 200th time, and we're going to have fun. But that's not necessarily popular. Once again, cost-benefit analysis. Is this video going to perform well, or am I doing it because I want to do it? Or is it somewhere in the infinity of gray in between? F it, I just want to do it. We're going to have fun.
There is the constraint of technicality, wherein the entire point of the video that I'm trying to make will be completely thrown out the window in place of someone wanting to point out that I made a spelling error or I got a date wrong.
Yeah.
And then finally, there's the constraint of righteous indignation.
So, in terms of technicality, because I watch a lot of Simon Whistler content, I'm a huge fan of The Blaze, allegedly. When you do anything, it's effectively like it's a different audience is how I'd read it, right? It feels like you're presenting a paper. So if I have Simon Whistler presenting a piece on the Holodomor, or if I have him presenting a piece on the dekulakization, right? I'm expecting the information to be accurate. Maybe there's something that could be ambiguous if something isn't specifically known. But then again, there's always the disclaimer of this is what records we have, right? I think that when we start talking about information pieces versus entertainment pieces, I think there is a relevant discussion there for someone getting something wrong. I think that there's a proper way to handle it. Don't get me wrong. I think that there's a professional way to handle that. And it's also always don't harass somebody, right? I think that goes without saying, but unfortunately on the internet, that's not how that works. So I think that I think from a criticism standpoint, I think that would be fair. If I said something along the lines of, I don't know, the Balkans are in Western Europe, someone has every right to be like, Kip, that's not where the Balkans are. Now, if someone doesn't like understand what I'm saying, where I say something about like, oh, I don't know enough about this area in history. I don't know enough about Western Europe, comma, the Balkans, comma, right? And someone like removes the comma, then I fire back a little bit, right? But could I also have worded that better? I think there's a nice give and take. I think it does come down to entertainment piece versus information piece. But I would absolutely love somebody who is much larger than I am and who understands the algorithm a lot better to get their 2 cents on that, because I think their opinion and take on that will be infinitely more valuable than that.
If you saw it, do you remember back in the Blue-Eyed Samurai video, I spent like a minute and a half going over all my credentials on why I think I'm qualified to analyze the show in relation to real-life Japan on a historical and cultural level? I mean, I saw plenty of people commenting about that, so it's because I feel like I'm at that point, or the internet is at that point, where I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
Accusations have already happened before in the last couple of years. Other creators on the platform have actually come at me swinging, saying that I don't deserve to talk about Japan because I don't live in the country right now.
Oh, so gatekeeping. Hear me out. Get bent. So here's the thing. You can talk about damn near whatever. Here's the secret, chat. You ready for this? You're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to have an opinion about whatever you want. Your opinion can be wrong, but you're allowed to have an opinion nonetheless, right? Can I talk about Japanese tea ceremony because but I don't live in Japan, so therefore I'm barred from it? No. I can say, I don't know enough about Japanese tea ceremony, but I think the Japanese tea ceremony, it sounds cool. Sounds like there's a lot of etiquette that goes into it, a lot of preparedness. I know friends who personally would love to learn the art of Japanese tea ceremony. Sure, absolutely. Now, if I wanted to speak authoritatively or from an informative standpoint, sure, absolutely. Here's my credentials. Because if someone like Gaijin Goombah has credentials and says, oh, but this is what tea ceremony is, and I don't have credentials, and I say this is what tea ceremony is, but I say something completely off, just wrong about it, right? Sure, from an opinion, sure, opinionation, right? I can have an opinion, but if I'm giving out false information, you should definitely be defaulting to somebody who has that opinion, that schooling, right? Who has those credentials. That's how that works. Now we can get into a situation where we have people who, well, hi, I'm a medical doctor here, and this vaccine specifically causes autism. Okay, people like to cite that argument, but are we going to cite that he lost his medical license? We're not going to cite any of the negative things that happened as repercussions because of that? No? Wow, weird, right? You can have all these credentials and still be wrong. However, having credentials, having education, having schooling generally makes things better, and people should be looking to you with those credentials as someone who's informed on the subject. So this also runs counter to the point as well, though. If you do have, and this is not hatred, right? I want to clarify. This is criticism and pointing out a little hypocrisy. If you do have the credentials and cite a date wrong, that just means, okay, so this was cited wrong. Next video, I'll just make sure to have this date correct, right? Like, I feel these points kind of conflict with each other, because absolutely, if people are harassing you over saying, 1960, or sorry, let's just say like 1600 Japan, right? Talking about something Musashi 1600, and you accidentally say like 1700, right? Like, sure, I guess there's that technicality there that, okay. I don't know. I'm trying to say words, but the words aren't necessarily coming out. And I want to stress this isn't necessarily negative criticism or hatred. This is like, I think these two are at odds. I think he generally brings great points across the table. I could also, and this is a very real possibility, be really reading way too deep into this, where these are meant as surface level statements to outline supporting arguments to his overall perspective, which is entirely possible and also valid. The apple is red because the apple is red. The pond is wet because the pond is wet. We don't necessarily need to discuss the philosophical elements of why the apple is red and why the pond is the way it is, right? Some things can just be surface level and generalized. Oh, yes, this makes sense.
Or I don't speak Japanese fluently, or I don't have a master's degree in the topic. And I know to a lot of you that doesn't necessarily matter all that much.
It doesn't.
It's just, I try to show respect. I try to show that I love it. I try to show that I do my damn research. But I'm just tired, man. I just want to talk about things that I find that I love and care about, and I just want to talk about it. Like, that's why I fell in love with orcs. You know, not only because it's a brand new sci-fi setting that I feel like I can nerd out about. I mean, I'm gonna be real with y'all, I haven't been able to feel the joys of being a nerd about anything in a long time. And what I love even more so with the orcs is that they just don't care. They love what they love. They live their own life to the fullest. They're horrible, brutish monsters, but they're weirdly kind of based. Like, I've already said a lot of this in that orc video I did months back, so I won't repeat myself. It's just, the bottom line is that I just want to be stupid with something I love again. Like, do you remember those days? Do you remember where you just made something because you loved it? And while I have absolutely zero intention of ceasing the creation of Japanese-related videos on this channel, I'm going to say that again, I have no intention of ceasing the creation of Japanese-related videos on this channel. I'm angry. I'm angry because I feel shackled. I'm angry because I constantly feel like I have to look over my shoulder. I'm angry because I can't put everything I am into my work because I have to create a group of people who, let's face it, couldn't give less of a damn about me up until they can find something to attack me over.
Yeah. I mean, I've been very vocal about certain things that I've experienced with the online 40K community, none which I will rehash here because, as I said, I don't want to bring it up again. Look at the video that I did on the specific subject, right? Words as written, words as I say. I don't care. I want to play the game. I'm going to play funny Wraith Tech all game. It's going to be fun, right? Like, and again, time and time again, I found that the people who get really critical never have actual valid points to back it up with, or when you press them, they don't answer. So therefore, just why should I care? The people who are legit are the people who are legit, whether you stay or not, right? There's plenty of people who have, I have really cool interactions with. There's people that come out to the Discord, as unfortunately age restricted as it is. I still haven't got a word back on Discord why it's age restricted, even though I've gone through, cleaned out the server in what capacity I can. Like, I don't understand it, but like, the people who are legit will be there. And even if they aren't there, say they're busy or something like that, you at least have a legitimate interaction. Don't be a screecher. Don't do that. Go outside. Go touch grass. Go to an actual Warhammer store and interact with other human beings. It's fantastic. It's, I know, wild, hot take even, but it's wild. It's fun. I also like that about 40K, that you can quite literally have a discussion about 40K, and the moment someone mentions orcs, it just not necessarily devolves, but it just turns into everyone saying how much they love orcs. It's fascinating to me.
I want to rip those shackles apart. I want to remember what it felt like to create something fueled by nerdy love.
Right.
That's why I want to start this 40K or tabletop whatever channel. Because I don't have to do all that there. I can just be. I can just go hog wild with the dozens and dozens of ideas that have been brewing in my heart and mind for the last 2 years. I've heard so many viewers and fans say that they want me to create that which excites me. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Jack, I'm utterly pumped for this. I'm pumped to be a nerd again. I'm pumped to express myself without worry. I'm pumped to not just be the Japan guy, but to be me. Unbridled, honest expression of love and passion. I need to feel these things again, and I'm going to feel these things again.
I feel this, though. I feel that stagnation. I am John React streamer, John React YouTuber, right? There's absolutely been days where I'm like, man, I really don't want to react anymore. Like, it's all I'm known for, effectively. And there's absolutely a discrepancy when I stream something like Final Fantasy XIV or Diablo 2 or Path of Exile 2 and streaming React content. That's not to say feel bad, right? That's not to say, like, you know, look, if I'm going to do other content, like he's saying, I need to say, I'm going to do this now. Sure, absolutely. I will still continue to do reactions. I think I have insight on a lot of things. I try to be the ethical person that this weird nebulous internet says that they want, but doesn't actually want because numbers, right? But I mean, yeah, absolutely. If anything, you just treat it like, look, this is my part-time job 1, or this is my part-time job 2, right? You, as Gaijin Goombah, will still continue to do Japanese-inspired Japanese-related content, right? Especially cultural analysis. Cool, awesome. But then you're like, okay, now that we're done here, I'm going to go over on GimGam Glitzdakka, and we're going to talk about orcs. And that's fantastic, right? It's kind of like that separation of work and play, but separation of different subjects. And what happens if you spend more time on GimGam Glitzdakka? If it brings you joy, who cares? Do it. Now, obviously, as somebody who does internet content, right? Obviously, you want to, chase that bag. You want to make sure you have enough uploads coming. You want to make sure that you're doing stuff, right? You make sure you're progressing in certain aspects, right? It's why I'll have, it's why I make sure to have stuff on Tactic, right? I'm not quite daily upload status, right? But it's one of those things where, like, yeah, I talk about firearms, I like talking about it, but there is that little bit of a separation. And don't get me wrong, the other detriment to that comes when you have to manage multiple channels, because there's sometimes days on a row where I forget to check the VOD channel, or days in a row where I forget to check the other channels, and I feel really bad because there's people that want to engage on there, but I am one person. I try my best, but I am a singular human being. So it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are detriments, there are considerations to make at that. But if it brings you joy, especially because YouTube likes certain channels and certain boxes and hates when you try to go outside of that, literally do it. Literally the just do it meme.
And I don't care. I don't care. If this channel goes absolutely nowhere, if it doesn't grow, if I lose money trying to make this work, I don't fucking care. I just don't care. Because I know in my heart that I will have created something out of passion and not obligation. I will have created something that, if it didn't exist in this world, I would actually lament over that. I will have created something honest. I will have created something with the long-forgotten energy that built this damn platform. I will have created something as a simple nerd talking about a hyper niche and knowing that in my heart that this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It's what I want. And I don't care who knows it. I don't care if it dilutes my brand. I don't care if it's the last thing I ever do as a creator. I have to do it. I can't lie to myself anymore. So I hope you'll give it a shot. GimGam Glitzdakka, link in the chat. I'll also probably re-upload all my other 40k videos there as well, because surprisingly, those videos did pretty good here.
Nice.
But I can't have my Japan stuff and my 40k stuff coexist on one channel anymore. You probably ask, why isn't that a thing? It's because I'm being actively punished for it.
Yeah.
Seriously, every time I upload a 40k video here and it does decent, the algorithm gets really confused as to what kind of channel I am now, and I just suffer for it. Subsequent less views, less income, I'm tired of this, man.
It's stress.
I'm so tired of this. So if you want to see me in my most creative, honest, and nerdy, well, if you want to see the Japanese context, stay right here, because that ain't going to be changing. But if you want to go over here to see where all this passion is going, please check it out. If you want to support this new endeavor, I mean, there's always Patreon. But as soon as I'm able, I'm going to be opening up channel members and other channel stuff as soon as I'm able to monetize over here. I mean, for crying out loud, I'm being real with y'all, just watching and subbing to the channel will actually help in huge ways, because I can't monetize until I hit a set number of total hours watched and sub count threshold. So even that is incredibly helpful. Also, I really want to try streaming on YouTube with the 40k related stuff that I want to do. Like, I could do a ton of build streams. There's a bunch of 40k games that I haven't touched yet. Like, there's a lot I want to try. So thanks for listening, everyone. I'll have more coming up here and on the other channel as soon as I have the time. So just thank you for your patience, everyone. I love all of y'all.
No, that's super cool. I always forget that I have channel memberships up, and I've debated on doing it. It's like how I have a Patreon and a Ko-fi. I don't ever expect anybody to ever do all of them or both of them, right? Like, that's not reasonable. I don't even expect anybody to go out to Patreon and stuff. I post like 40k stuff and some things on Patreon, but like, for all intents and purposes, it's like, if you want to, sure, but you should never feel obligated to. And that's kind of where I'm at with like YouTube memberships. I just don't know what of value I can really offer. I've even turned down offers because someone's like, how much do I have to pay you to make a reaction to this? And, you know, we looked into the video a little bit, and it's just like, hey, don't re-upload this, which generally is like, don't react to this as well, because it was an animation. And it's like, I will actively, you know, deny people that, hey, I don't send me money because I can't ethically in good faith do this. But that's been something I've considered, especially because it's like it's that people have the avenues should they want to, and I think that's why I like YouTube channel memberships, right? And then Martin Pants even had his funny like $500 channel membership, which was super funny. Oh my god, that was hilarious. And that just kind of came in left field during his My Summer Car thing. So I like this video. I thought it was great. I thought it was incredibly informative, and it brought a lot to the table. So thank you, Gaijin Goombah, for being just really cool, honestly. Thanks for such an amazing video. I'm glad you're liking orcs, and definitely don't let the weird 40k online screechers get you down, because, God, they're everywhere. I'd much rather talking to actual legitimate people. And definitely go ahead and check out both Gaijin Goombah as well as GimGam Glitzdakka. I will make sure to link those down in the description down for you. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.